friends, Vardha here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to experiment with some solid stamps and how to enhance them with a little bit of a trick with colored pencils to change up their look or add some depth or basically add details to make them look more natural than just flat solid stamped images. What you see me doing here is how I create a bunch of different stamped images. If I'm going to stamp images and with things like MISTI, I like to do it with creating a whole bunch of them at one go. That way I have things ready and I can create multiple projects. The paper has already been used once. I use Canson mixed media paper for printing my digital stamps, and I use my brother's Scan and Cut to cut out those images. What remains on that paper is what you see, and that's what I have used to stamp a bunch of these images. I have used 3 colors from Simon Says Stamp, the Duckling, the Apricot, and Hot Lips. Next step is something that I wanted to show you a little bit slowly. When there are stamps with 2 images that go together, they are not layered, but they kind of are. Like this bud over here, it has a tiny green stem and it has a bud at the top with 2 distinct colors, like green for the stem and whatever color of the flower for the bud. The way I like to do it is I like to stamp the bottom part, die cut it out, and then use that die cut area to exactly line up where I want the flower portion to go, and that gives me perfect bud. Next step is, although these are not really layered images, they have separate images or separate stamps for the centers, and that's what you see me doing here. All this is just basically prep work to get my images out exactly as they're intended if you use the stamp set itself. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is the Create Your Happy stamp set. I think that's the name. I'll link to the real one below, from Syberia Designs, and I love it. I absolutely love this one. For the centers, I used 2 different colors, in fact 3 different colors, and I had all my images sorted out into piles of similar images. Next, what I'm going to do is, instead of using these images as is, I'm trying to find corresponding colors that I would like to add as highlights on top. So the way I like to do it is use a scratch piece of paper and test out what colors I would like. So I'm picking up a couple pencils from POLYCHROMOS, Faber-Castell POLYCHROMOS. I think one of them is a Crayola colored pencil, and the green ones that you see me use later are all Prismacolor. No, Prima Marketing. Sorry, I get confused between those two. Prima Marketing. Okay, so what I do is I'm following the image that is already there and adding little bit of details, little bit of highlights, and I'm trying it with the tiniest of images. That way I haven't ruined a bigger one. Basically, as you know, all these are my experiments, so I just want to make sure that I'm not doing something really risky with a bigger image. That's all. But I really liked how the bird immediately got some dimension. It looked like it has depth and not just a flat image, and that's why I went ahead and I tried it with the flowers. And just like the image is stamped, I'm following the lines there. I'm treating each petal as its own, and I'm trying to add highlights by just swiping color here and there. Each image just takes a few seconds in real life, even if it is speeded up or whatever, or even if it is not speeded up or whatever. It doesn't take more than a few seconds per image, since these are smaller images, and then it just adds a whole lot of interest to these. Later on in the video, when I show you how I colored my leaves, I will show you a comparison of a flat image and another one that has shading on it, this pencil shading on it. I realized that my camera was not zoomed in, so this is what I did to zoom it in, and as you can see, the petals that have this shading immediately get spiced up. So they look like, okay, they are curving outwards, and instead of just color placed, the same color placed everywhere, now they have little more interest. I'm sure if I would have used, like, I think I used dye ink. I think all those Simon Says inks are dye inks. But if dye ink is used and then I've used color pencil on top, we can use things like Gamsol to blend it out even further. I didn't do any of those fancy things. I don't even have Gamsol. But I'm sure all of us have at least some set of colored pencils. And instead of just keeping them on the shelf, why not put it to good use? So this is what I did. I colored each of my flowers with the pencils I had selected, and then I'm doing the same thing with the leaves. I intentionally kept two leaves side by side so you can see how the detailing adds something extra to the image. And although this first pencil which I used, it did not get that much of a color difference, and you'll see me in a little bit. I'll switch the pencil and I'll go a little bit darker on it and compare the two. So this is where I switched the pencil and I started going darker also, and added more depth, so to say. So this is how it looks. The one on the left has got no details. The one on the right, yes, it's immediately different. Once I saw the close-up of it, I decided to add a little more depth to the bottom, to the base part of the leaf, and there you see the left one has got no shading and the one on the right has shading. I repeated the same idea or same technique on all of my leaves, one by one. Just spent a few seconds on each of them and added my pencil shading to each of these. And I know I haven't die cut them precisely. Some of them have a bigger white outline and some of them have a very narrow one, but at the end of the day it didn't really matter. It was all good in the end. These two, I felt like they were distinctly different kind of an image, but I still went ahead and did the exact same technique to them. No difference. The exact same colors that I used for the other leaves I added here. I shaded the base part of each tiny leaf and made it darker. For the next part, I wanted to show you how I assembled it into a card, but part of my footage got messed up. I think I didn't turn on the record button or something. But all I did was I have taken the Spellbinders card base that comes in their card kits. I love them. And I used my MISTI and one Stamperia stamp set to stamp the background. It's like I felt it was like a lattice or some lattice, I think you call it, that you have in the garden, some kind of a net or maybe a metal net or something that you would put in the garden and let your trailing vines go over it. That's the kind of effect I was going for. Excuse me. And I assembled my flower arrangement, mounting some of them on the foam tape or foam adhesive and the other one on just flat adhesive. And for the foam adhesive, again, I've used Spellbinders adhesive that comes in their card kit. I use even the sides, not just the squares. I use even the sides. Yeah, I'm cheap like that. But why waste? So I just cut it up and I use that. This sentiment is one of the ones that I had showcased long time ago, where I have hot foiled a bunch of sentiments and kept them ready. I had it already ready to go, die cut, and that's what I put on the card. So there you have it. I didn't add any bling to this one. Maybe I'll change my mind and add later, or I'll just leave it like that. I hope you enjoyed today's video and got a little bit of trick on how to enhance your solid stamp images. I do hope you will give it a try. For the rest of the flowers that I created, yes, I did create a many projects with them, and I will definitely share them in a separate video, maybe with another small trick, and I will come back with more. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Bye bye. You have a blessed day.